So, hey guys, and again, I know it's been a while, but weather has been terrible and life in general gets busy. But as always, I decided to come back because I saw a movie and I have something to say about it. Aren't we all though? I was looking myself at the camera and I don't know if I forgot how to put on the light or if it's a small change I did on the makeup, but it looks so shiny. I'm pretty sure it's the makeup though. Oops, too late to change it now. Anyways, I was trying to do my best Emilia Clarke cosplay from the Solo movie because we're gonna be discussing that. Solo, Star Wars story. Yay. So, about a week ago I saw the Han Solo spin-off movie and it was mind-numbingly boring. I was prepared for it to be a bit boring because it didn't look in the trailer, at least didn't look like they were talking about anything. Like I couldn't see anything that the story was going to be about. And then everyone is saying like, oh no, it's just that Disney didn't put enough in the advertisement, that's why the movie did so bad. As a person that went and saw it, as a person that loves Han Solo and that really likes Star Wars, it wasn't Disney. That movie is boring as hell. And again, it's not coming from like an angry fan place that this is coming from. It's coming from someone who enjoys movies. So I wanted to discuss actually origin stories today because there has been a few and all of them seem to be either okay or very boring lately. And for instance, we have, of course, Han Solo. We have this one has been a while since we got it, but Man of Steel was not only mind-numbingly boring, but it was insulting to Superman. What else we got? We got Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange was fun. I like Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, but it was nothing to cry home about. So why are lately all origin stories so underwhelming? We have been getting lots of reboots from lots of well-known characters. They do a reboot, then they try to explain the origin story again, and it's very underwhelming. Why is this? Well, let's discuss something that I think Hollywood has been doing wrong against a character being the character and a character becoming the character. So, let's discuss Han Solo origin movie and why it sucked so bad. We're going to discuss it in 3 steps. Like I said, the first is we're going to talk about origin stories and why lately Hollywood has been dropping the ball really bad with them. The second is as to what is a spin-off movie against like the guideline thing that they did. How a spin-off movie should play. And finally, but not lastly, this is more of a fan grip that I have with this movie, which is why I left it at the end. And that is Emilia Clarke. I really think that one of the reasons this movie did kind of bad was Emilia Clarke. But again, it is kind of coming from more of a fan grip that I have that more than an actual problem with the movie. It is a problem with the movie. But we'll see why once we get there. So let's begin. So I've been saying that there's an issue now with origin stories because the main issue is that Hollywood now is talking about a character becoming the thing instead of being the thing. So lately we have been getting lots of examples of you see the character on the screen and then Hollywood says, no, wait. This is not Han Solo. This is the man that he was before he became Han Solo. And we get this in all the characters. We have the Superman movie. This is not Superman. This is the man that becomes Superman. We got this with Captain America. This is not Captain America. This is the guy that becomes Captain America. So, to me, this is a way of the Hollywood is doing it so that if they drop the ball, they can just go back and say, oh, you know what, he was young and he did mistakes. They're doing this so they can have creative leeway in some manner. That is to say, to include things or tropes that they think it's going to sell well with a character that usually this character wouldn't have. For instance, with Han Solo, they said, oh, this is the man that becomes Han Solo. So don't expect him to be all the things that we like about Han Solo. Like, being charming, a scoundrel, rogue, great pilot, be friends with Chewbacca, be friends with Lando, playboy. All those things, he's not going to have them because he's not Han Solo yet. He's becoming Han Solo. Now, if you're going to do an origin story, that's fine. But I think one of the biggest mistakes that you can do is focus the 100% of the story in the origin story. Just because you're doing an origin story does not mean that the whole story is the origin. I think a great example of this is actually Spider-Man, or maybe even Batman, because they have a very distinct moment when the character was a normal person and then something happened and then they became the character that we like and we all think it's cool. For instance, with Spider-Man, it's when Uncle Ben dies. And, you don't do a whole movie of Uncle Ben dying, of Spider-Man just going around being Peter Parker, being normal, this, and that. And after an hour and a half, Uncle Ben dies. No, like, if you have Uncle Ben, he dies within the first act of the movie because you want to spend the rest of the movie talking about Spider-Man. The same thing goes with Batman. You don't expect the whole movie, of any movie of Batman, you don't see the whole movie waiting for their parents to be killed in an alleyway. Hell, I think even, the more Batman movies we get, the faster Thomas and Martha Wayne died. Like even Gotham, the series that is taking forever for Bruce Wayne to become Batman, they knew at the very first episode, within the 21st seconds of the episode, his parents died. The Batman vs. Superman movie knew to do this, right? And say what you will about that movie, it's terrible. I'm not going to defend it. I enjoy it, but it's a terrible movie. That first sequence with his parents dying, it was like a very cool short film. It was very cinematic, and it was to the point, like, boom, the parents died, and now he's Batman. But now, for instance, they didn't do this with Man of Steel. We have Clark Kent 2 hours and a half to become Superman. And once he becomes Superman, he's still not the Superman that we like. He just goes and kills Zod. And then all of a sudden, once he kills Zod, he's Superman. So this is the way that we have an excuse to have a character acting nothing like the character we like for 2 hours and a half, because he's becoming the character. The Han Solo movie, and I honestly don't recommend it. But if you didn't saw the movie it's about how we meet Han Solo in this godforsaken planet. He wants to escape with his childhood sweetheart so they can have a better life. And then through some shenanigans, he manages to escape, but she doesn't. And then he enlists in the military, and then he's Han Solo. He's in the military, and then he meets some rogues, and then he's like, oh, I just want to go home to get to my girlfriend. And then he meets Chewbacca, and then he meets Lando, and then they get the ship. And that's about it. That happens in the movie. If I seem extremely baked and bored about it, it's because that's how the movie does it. It's extremely baked and bored about it. It sucks. So, like I was saying, when we think about Han Solo as a character, we think about this rogue, charming guy who really is not involved in politics. So what we should have gotten was a story about a guy that's not involved in any of the politics of his world, whatever world that be, because it's a spin-off. We'll discuss that in a minute. And have him have adventures. It should have been about a man having adventures on his own. And there is another series of movies that I think this should have been taken a lot of points from, and that is James Bond. James Bond movies. And the James Bond movies, they're standalone movies, unless, you know, you have a very special movie that ends in a cliffhanger and then they continue it like it was, sorry, like it was the case with Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace. But in general, all James Bond's movies are standalone movies. And, you know, they can be a bit repetitive in the sense that usually the plot is that there is an international issue. Bond is the only agent of the MI6 that can fix it. He gets like some issue with the MI6, and then they give him gadgets and they're like, okay, if you do this, Bond will be forever in your debt, and then he goes and does the thing. And usually along the way he meets a girl or two and stuff happens. But that stuff is where the entertainment comes from. Seeing James Bond be all soft and cool and getting the girl and then dropping the girl and being like, you were just only for a few minutes. And we see this charm and we still root for him, and we can still go and sit and watch the same movie again with James Bond. Why wasn't Han Solo like this? It should have been a great, like, kind of action flick. You know, it should have been just him having adventures. Maybe he didn't know Chewbacca yet, maybe he did, but it should have been about him having adventures. We seen him with the characteristics that we see him in A New Hope Awakens. Not how he got these characteristics. We don't care. We don't care how Han Solo becomes Han Solo. You can dedicate some minutes to that in the first act of the movie, the first 10 minutes or so, but then after that we should see the character that we love. Saying that it's an origin story, it's not an excuse to have the whole story be the origin. That is not what an origin story is. You can dedicate some of the time to see how the character becomes the character, but you should also allow people to see the character that they know. There was this, like they did a lot of references to Star Wars, and that's all they were, references. And those, again, we'll discuss it a bit, like what a spin-off is. But this movie is not, it does nothing for the character of Han Solo. That's what I wanted to say. But that is more, again, a fan grip that I have, that it not only does not represent the character, it was boring to see. So it was not only maddening from a Star Wars fan point of view, it was also just a waste of time. So, okay, as an origin movie, it sucks. It sucks because it tells us nothing of the character that we love. It spent on 2 hours and a half on a character that we have no interest in, because, like I said, it's not Han Solo. It's some guy that we know it's called Han Solo and that eventually becomes the Han Solo that we like. But it's not the Han Solo that we like. So why should we be invested in? Oh, it's because it's a Star Wars spin-off movie. Well, imagine that Han Solo, Star Wars story came to be. Okay, everyone, so we need to make a movie about Han Solo, because all the kids love him and he's all the rage, and Harrison Ford fucking denies us to make another movie with him, So, not only did we kill him, now we have to make a fucking prequel with him. What? You want to make an original story that it's like adventures and stuff? No. We need to make references, lots and lots of references to episode 4, because, you know, that's when Luke meets Han Solo, And we need to talk about all the memes and stuff that Hans talk about. We just need to include all this. Can someone bring me a checklist? Thank you. You're welcome, Mr. Mouse. Get the fuck out. So we have the spin-off. A spin-off as a movie, as a thing that is created, is that when you have your main story that you're writing about, and then all of a sudden a small aspect, a small detail of the story becomes so interesting that, you know, whoever says, oh, can you please develop this small detail of the story such in a way that it's become its own thing, its own full-fledged story. And it is in such a way that it's its own thing. It's a standalone thing. It's a spin-off. It can have references and stuff to the main universe that it's coming from, but it should be a thing that you could watch on your own and have not exposure or all from the original thing and half make sense from it. An example of this can be the Harry Potter spin-off, Fantastic Beasts. Sure, you can know who Harry Potter is, what Howard is, Voldemort and all that stuff, but you can see it and you can be like, ah, okay, there's wizards in the world and they're doing this and they have their own world and this magic works like this. And there is a Ministry of Magic that does that, and you don't need to see Harry Potter to know this. You just need to see Fantastic Beasts. If you see and know Harry Potter, then you know it's a thing that should embellish the spin-off. You can be like, ah, this comes from there, but it shouldn't be a requirement. It should be like a plus, not a requirement to see the movie. From Star Wars, we have Rogue One. So when Rogue One came out, Rogue One was pretty much just there to cover one of the biggest plot holes in history. You know, I saw in, I think it was Honest Trailers, that it was like, this is the most expensive plot hole in all history, because they just made like $1 billion movie to cover what everyone was pointed out from like 40 years ago. Like, why is the biggest death gun in space that is like a whole planet has this really hilarious weakness? They made a movie out of that. But this is the thing about Rogue One. Even though it was created from a very hilarious detail of the original movie, it's its own thing. And you can see that from the start of the movie. We don't know who the Empire is. We don't know who these people that we're seeing at. If you haven't seen Rogue One, by the way, yeah, I'm going to spoil it. Though it's really hard to spoil that movie. But the thing is that when it begins, you're in a field. And you see the protagonist, which is, Jane Urso. and Hannibal, Matt. I always call him Hannibal, but I know that's not his name. I forget his last name. This is his last name. But I always call him Hannibal, because he's Hannibal. And he's a great Hannibal, by the way. If you haven't seen the series Hannibal, see it. But anyway, they're there on the field, and then someone, we don't know who, comes and kills the mother of Jane Urso, and they also take the father. So you may not know who the Empire is, what they are, but you know, you see them do something very heinous, kill a mother and kidnap the father, and the little girl has to run away and look for help. From that you get, okay, these people are the bad guys. So then throughout the movie we see these bad guys are an oppressive system. So even though you don't know who the Empire is, you get it that, okay, these people are not only bad, they're evil in the sense that they're oppressing people, they're taking their freedoms from them, they should be stopped. Then you see Diego Luna, and you see that he's with this kind of people that are rebelling against the system, and you're thinking, oh, okay, these are the good guys, so I should cheer for them. And then you cheer for them, and then the dad explains, oh, they're building this great gun that it's going to destroy planets, but I made a way to stop it. You have to deliver this information. Okay, we have an objective, a mission for our movie. Then they go, they do it, they all perish in the mission, but they succeed in the objective that the movie itself set for us. So even if you don't know Star Wars, at least the movie is self-contained, that you can say, okay, what I saw made sense. It was a girl whose dad was kidnapped. She was able to meet her dad again. She knew why they kidnapped him, and he asked her to fulfill his dying wish, and she fulfilled it. That's it. That's all you need to know to see Rogue One. If you know the background, that you know, oh, she's going to give this to Princess Leia, and from this a new hope is going to be born, and this and this and that, that's a plus, and that is great for you. Han Solo does not have such subtleties. So let me start by saying, I like Emilia Clarke. I love her as Daenerys. I like her in Game of Thrones. I've talked about Game of Thrones before. But this is the thing. She is terrible on this. I despise her on this. I think what they were trying to do was make a femme fatale kind of character. Again, kind of going with the James Bond kind of a film, kind of like a Bond girl, you know. The thing is that Emilia Clarke was so not the right actress for this. So Emilia Clarke acting of a femme fatale is like looking at the camera and like bringing out her boobs, raising her eyebrow, and then smiling smug as hell like this. That's all she does. That's all she does in the movie. I'm not kidding. So like I said, when I started talking about the movie as a story, we have Han escaping this planet, and he leaves his sweetheart behind, and that's Emilia Clarke. Eventually, he promises that he will come back for her, and what do you know? She kind of escapes. They meet in this place that we never really get explained what it is, but it's like a hub of like, I guess like traffickants or something, and she's just there. Why is she there? How did she got there? We don't know. She's just dressed very sexily, and she's like there with her boobs out, and again she's there with the fucking eyebrow, and she's like, "Han, hi, you've changed. You're not a boy anymore." And you're thinking, what the hell is she doing? When she appeared on the first scene, she looked like a normal human being. And all of a sudden she's like... and then it turns out she's kind of in a relationship with the boss there of this hub of traffickants, which is Paul Bettany. And I want to make this point right now. Shame on you, Disney. Shame on you for wasting Paul Bettany not only in one movie, but two. If the reason why Vision sucked in Avengers is because he was working on this movie, shame on you. Because by God, if Paul Bettany is the most boring villain I have ever seen in a Star Wars movie. And the thing is that he's supposed to be like this psychotic mob boss, but he doesn't do anything. Like, we know he's scary, but we don't know why. He attacks with these things that are like electricity, or we don't know, but they never explain. And then at the end, when you're supposed to have this huge fight between him and Han Solo, Emilia Clarke kills him, and Han Solo does absolutely nothing to kill him. It's just a waste of Paul Bettany. Shame on you. Okay, now back to Emilia Clarke. The reason why I harp on it so much is because the movie harps on it so much. Like, a huge part of the driving force of Han Solo in this movie is Emilia Clarke. She doesn't even, it's not a character, it's just Emilia Clarke there, smiling as smug as hell. And she just like cock-teased him the whole movie. She's just like, maybe we can't be together anymore. We were barely together. Bitch, you were not barely together. You were trying to escape the planet together. You were together. And she's just like all of a sudden very cold shouldery, like, I've done things. We never told what things she does, what is her character now, is she really trustworthy, is she not? We are told things about her. Again, movie 101, you will hear this 1,000 times for any reviewer online. Show, don't tell. They tell us that she's a survivor, that she's gonna betray him, that she has done things. I don't know how many times they tell us that Emilia Clarke has done things. What things? I don't know. She has done things. And we're supposed to use this as fact that she has done things to mistrust her. But we don't know her character. I think that what would have been great for this movie, going with the James Bond again, it's either between two Bond girls that I really, really like. One of them is Jinx from Die Another Day. Die Another Day, it's a terrible James Bond movie. I'm not gonna try and defend it. But I think Halle Berry was a great Bond girl. She was fun, she was quirky, she had great chemistry with Bond. They had like this whirlwind romance or affair. You know, it wasn't really serious for either of them. They were both focused on their mission, and they just happened to have like a quick fling along the way, and then they both continue on their path, which would have been great.
Jinx, you say?
Born on Friday the 13th.
You believe in bad luck?
Let's just say my relationships don't seem to last.
I know the feeling.
You know, and then we also had another Bond girl, which I think it's what they were trying to do. And that is Elektra from The World Is Not Enough.
James Bond.
And Elektra, it's Elektra King, and she's played by my French actress and model Sophie Marceau. And I think they were trying to do a character like that. So with Elektra King in The World Is Not Enough, we have an Ernest. It is Ernest, right? So she loses her father, and then all of a sudden she has like a lot of control and power and money, and you heard that this terrorist is gonna come and take her. So James Bond is trying to protect her, and again they develop like sexual chemistry. But then it turns out that she's actually in cahoots with the terrorist, and she's actually one of the bad guys, and she's very alluring and sexy all the time. And she has the balls to tell James Bond, one of my favorite lines ever uttered from a Bond girl.
You wouldn't kill me. You'd miss me.
And then he shoots her. And it's great. So I think they were trying to do something like Elektra King, you know, like a very soft, sexy woman that you don't really know if she's within Han Solo's side or not, but ultimately she's not, which would have been great. But like I said, Emilia Clarke is not the kind to do that. She looks too wholesome. And again, one of the biggest downfalls with this character in the movie is that Han Solo spends the whole movie like a lovesick puppy behind her tail. The whole movie. All that he does, he just keeps saying, no, all I'm doing this is for us, so that we can run away and be happy together. Why? Why is the objective of the movie this? Not only within the movie, it's boring as hell because, you know, her as a character is like a shell. There's nothing inside of it. And him, like, we see him once with her in the opening scene, and the rest of the movie is trying to get her back. If you're not a fan of the movie, this is not enough to entertain you. If you're a fan of the movie, this is a fucking insult. And we all know why. She's not Carrie Fisher. She's not the one. So I'm not an idiot. I'm not gonna be like a purist of fandom and come here and say like, oh no, like Han Solo was like celibate before he met Princess Leia. No, yeah, he never looked at a pair of tits before he saw hers. Like, of course not. But when I think of Han Solo, I think Playboy. I think of a guy that was incredibly charismatic, that probably banged everything that he moved and he liked. So like I said, that's why I liked something within the lines of Jinx. Like a girl that has spunk, and she and Han Solo have this whirlwind romance, and then they let each other go. Because any female, because we know what we know, any female in Han Solo's life before Princess Leia will never measure against her. We won't care two flying fucks for any female character that is paired as a romantic lead against Han Solo because she's not Princess Leia. We're talking about, you know, as fans of Star Wars, we're talking about the most epic romance in the whole series. That, you know, they tried to redo it with Anakin and Padme, and by God was that dry. their offspring is the main villain in the new trilogy, and they have one of the most epic and most well-known confession scenes in the whole kingdom, in the whole world of cinema.
I love you.
I know.
And you're trying to tell me that this chick, this whoever, we should care about her? We're not. We as fans of Star Wars won't care about her. Especially, if you don't tell us who she is. Not only is this character vague and boring and it's not Princess Leia, why is Han Solo so tied to this character? Why is he so loyal to her? When we know that our Han Solo, the character that we know from A New Hope, wouldn't be like this, wouldn't be this attached. And again, I can see the Disney executives. You see, it's because that's not Han Solo, that's the man that he was before he became Han Solo, and before he became Han Solo, he was attached. That's why after this, he never was attached to women again. But that's not what we want to see. And again, if this is the case, that he was very attached and then, I don't know, she broke his heart, give me a goddamn reason to care why she's breaking his heart. Because, like I said, all that Emilia Clarke does in this movie is wear very cute dresses that like pump her tits up to here, and then she goes like this, raises her eyebrow and goes, "You're just like a kid, hon. We can't be together. I did things." Ugh. At the end of the day, the movie was poorly conceived. They didn't write the story properly. They didn't care. They just thought that with the name of Han Solo, they were going to put butts in seats, and they clearly did not. They did have a thing that is even more upsetting, because it has been proven that a story within this constricted time frame, where the Empire exists, and you cannot destroy the Empire because there's already a fixed point in time in the story where the Empire is going to be destroyed. You cannot have any important key players die, but there's already a story that was developed within this constrained time place, and it works. And it's called Star Wars Rebels. For the uninitiated, if you have never heard of Star Wars Rebels, it was a series, a cartoon, that was aired in Disney XD. I don't know if that's also the version in America, in the United States, or the rest of the world. I saw it. I saw it on Netflix, but the point is that it was about a small fleet of rogue people that they were trying to fight against the Empire. They steal stuff to survive the Empire. They have no correlation whatsoever to the original trilogy. And yet, they were capable of developing a story of them being thieves. It's almost like Han Solo could have been there. And then eventually, they do bump into the Resistance, and then they start meeting characters from the original trilogy. But without interfering with the story of Luke Skywalker. And one of the things that happens, if you saw it in Solo, in the spin-off movie, if you saw this guy, Darth Maul, and you were thinking like, isn't he dead? The reason why he's there is because he appears in Star Wars Rebels. In there, they explain why he's alive, and this was a nod to that series, to the fans of Star Wars Rebels, which just it adds insult to injury. So you're telling me that you were aware that you could do a really great story with thieves and rogue type characters, and you didn't even bother to try and make the story of the biggest rogue in the galaxy like that. You made it about his childhood sweetheart who she may or may not like him still and may or may not have done horrible things and may or may not be a whore. And you didn't even think about using any of the kind of types of story that was in Star Wars Rebels for this. I hate you, Disney. You're gonna come to theaters to see Star Wars Episode 9 next year, aren't you? I will. I wish I knew how to quit you, Disney. So that was my very bizarre point of view and the beautiful mess. That's not a beautiful mess, just a fucking mess. That was Han Solo, Star Wars, whatever. When the movie ended, I was just like this. I was just like, I fucking hate this movie. If I did sing bait and didn't seem like I tried very hard, because I'm trying to emulate the movie. I will try. I did do the blog for Itonia for the After Oscars commentary that I was doing. The thing is that I lost the footage. It got corrupted and I lost all of it. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I stopped making videos for some months, because I was like, oh, fuck that. And I didn't have the strength to go back and re-record it. So I will re-record the Itonia commentary blog. It's going to be better than this one. And then afterwards, we're going to do something actually a bit more different. If you are interested, you should stick around for the next couple of weeks in this channel. It's about a new game that just came out. Sadly, I don't have the means to play it, but thankfully, thanks to the magic of YouTube, I have been able to see a lot of great playthroughs, and I wanted to do kind of an analysis of the story of this game. And given that it's a very new game and that it's very story-driven, you may have guessed what it's about. It is Detroit Become Human. There is one thing about the story that I kind of wanted to discuss. So, you know, it is a very interesting game. Sadly, like I said, it's a PS4 exclusive, and I'm a very, very poor woman who does not own a PS4. Gladly, I do have internet, and I can see lots of playthroughs and be very well informed in the plot. It's a quantum dream video game, and they make very immersive, very realistic kind of video games that they play very much like interactive movies, which is why you know, they're very easy to just kind of sit and watch as a movie as you see another person play through it, which is why they're great for playthroughs and everyone is playing it right now. It's about androids and science fiction, which is one of my favorite things to talk about. So there is one thing I want to discuss about the story of that game, which is why I'm going to take it as a storytelling video blog, even though it's a video game that we're going to be talking about. So hopefully I won't get lazy and I will do it quickly. And you will join me for that as well. And like I said, I'm going to try and re-record the Itonia video blog. I really did enjoy Itonia. Even though, you know, if you walk out of here saying, fuck Han Solo and fuck that movie, but you want to see a good movie that it's funny and I really did enjoy, I recommend Itonia. Her mom, the actress that played the mom of Tonya, of Margot Robbie, which is actress Allison Janney. I love her. She won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, and she totally deserved it. So, don't see Han Solo. It's a terrible movie. See Rogue One. See what's in the movies right now? See Itonia. I don't know. Oh, see Star Wars Rebels. It's on Netflix, and it just finished its last season, and you will find out why Darth Maul is all of a sudden alive. So, see you next time. Thanks for joining me in this rant journey. That was a terrible word to say. On this journey of rants, on this rant of the movie, leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you will. I upload every so often. And see you next time. Bye bye.